What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage coming to you live with Mr. Dan Keller. I'm in Portland and you're in Seattle, right, brother?
That's it. Sunny Seattle.
Cool. So guys, Dan and I did a call, I think it was just last week, right? I mean, last week we did a how Dan Keller and his team use Mortgage Coach, and he walked through his workflow, showed what he did and how he did it. If you want to check that out, we'll put a link down below, or just go to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, type in Dan Keller. It's the most recent interview. And today we had a lot of demand. A lot of people ask questions like, hey, how does Dan use Mortgage Coach with agents? Like, how is it adding value? And then how is Dan taking content that he's creating with Mortgage Coach and integrate it into his social media and his YouTube channel strategy? So we're going to cover both of those things today. If you guys have questions, this is live in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group. Comment down below and I'll bring the questions into the conversation. And if you're watching the recording, either in YouTube or Facebook, let us know and Dan and I will get to it. So Dan, is there anything that didn't get covered that you want to make sure you cover before we just get into realtor strategies last week?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a long call and I know there was a lot of good nuggets in there. I think a couple of the comments, people commented on, I think your Facebook page or your Facebook channel on just like how to do this, how to do that. And my best advice is just to make it a part of your practice and start doing it every single day. And you'll get good, you'll get efficient with it, but you've got to make it a part of your business. So I think I would just double down on that. If you want to be a great Mortgage Coach user, if you want to be a great mortgage professional, leveraging this software is going to help, but you've got to use it and you've got to get good at using it.
Yeah, and guys, Dan's creating almost 100 TCAs a month. He's over 90 in the past 30 days. One question that didn't get answered, and someone asked it, do you do the data input on the TCA, or does someone on your team do the setup and then you edit it and take over? I don't think we got to that last week.
So I would say probably 90+% of the time it's just me. But I do have 3 of my LPs, my loan partners, know how to put together a Mortgage Coach TCA. And so I would just say I'm so efficient at it now. And I'm spending more time up front with homeowners, with refinances, and home buyers up front with giving them their mortgage options report. So I'm just doing it. It's I ask a few questions and I plug and play, and it's out to them within minutes.
So whoever asked that question, anybody wants to know that, I've interviewed countless top producers and there's no right answer. Dan does 90%. Jeremy Forcier does 100%. I interviewed Keith Collins. He's doing less than 10%, and he showed how he works with his assistant to do it. Kelly Zitlow, her assistant, does the setup. So guys, there's a lot of ways of doing it, and every team is different. And guys, not only every team is different, it ebbs and it flows, on how you're doing it. So make sure your team knows how to do it. If you're new and you have a team, I make sure that when you get trained, you train all together and you make it a team requirement. Like, this is how we do business. So
Dave, I will say this. I'll set it up, like I said, most of the time, 90+% of the time. But what I love about it, and my team being able to be fluent in Mortgage Coach, is that if a client's out looking at homes and I'm busy, they can jump in 123 Main Street, option 1, and drop in the purchase price, verify taxes, and everything's there, screenshot it, send it out. So that's really where I leverage Mortgage Coach with my team, not so much upfront, but once we get going, locking your interest rate, stuff like that. It's where it really comes in handy, having them being able to jump in and do that.
Cool. Well, it looks like we got some pretty badass people on the call. We got Realtor Glenn Bill, 100-unit real estate agent watching. He recognized your name and he saw Realtors. He's like, oh, what's going on here? Remember, guys, if you have questions, let us know what they are. So let's get into it. How do you use Mortgage Coach to create more value for agents? And how do you do it so that you are perceived as more valuable to the agents you serve?
Well, I found out a long time ago that if I went and met with a new realtor and I told them about some new gadget that I have, I'm no different than any other loan officer out there. All right. So I've never led with Mortgage Coach. What I've led with is learning more about that real estate professional, what I can do to help complement their business, what I can do to help them make more money. And as a result of that relationship, I infuse the mortgage coach technology into our relationship and into them seeing kind of how we present loan options. And so what I encourage every single realtor of mine, many of my real estate agents, we do this often, but when I start working with a new realtor, I will have them, one of their first, if not their first introduction to their first client they refer over, we'll meet up together. And we will do, I call it a strategy session. But what we'll do is we'll sit down with the borrower. This is before we've ran credit. But we'll sit down with the realtor and the lender, and we'll go out to coffee or happy hour and just learn more about that particular client, home buyer's goals, their situation. And then on the spot, I'll either use my smartphone. Most of the time, I just pull out my MacBook and I ask them 4 simple questions. And I produce a TCA, a rent versus own. Most of the time, they're first-time home buyers, but I produce a rent versus own TCA right in front of them. And what I tell them after I ask the 4 questions, I say I need 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys talk about real estate right now, and I'm going to put together this report, and it's going to connect both of our worlds so that we can serve you at the highest level possible. And really, the 4 questions are simple. What are you currently paying in rent? And are you tied? It could be considered second question, but part 2 of that is, are you tied to a long-term lease? So what are you currently paying in rent? What do you currently have budgeted to invest in real estate? So what do you have budgeted for your down payment and closing costs? The third question, I understand that you're paying X number of dollars in rent, but if you were to purchase a house, what would your ideal mortgage budget look like? And then what would be, if you found a house that checked off all of those boxes on the perfect home, what would be the maximum that you would budget on a monthly basis for a total mortgage payment? And then the last question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I ask those 4 questions, and that's enough for me to make a TCA. And I work a rent versus own TCA. I start working on it, and 5 minutes later, I'll turn it around and I'll show you how that would look.
So guys, I hope you listen to what he said. This is not just with Mortgage Coach. This is with any technology, whether that's HomeBot, House Happy, any new shiny light that you get. It's not about the technology. It's about the result. Yeah. It's about a story. You want to tell a story and you want to explain a strategy, and you use the technology to do that. And so here's a picture. Dan, I don't know if you remember this picture. You probably do.
Yep.
And guys, and this is the other thing Dan does a great job of. He'll be out meeting with a client, and I have countless photos that I've either pulled from Instagram, I've pulled from Facebook, where Dan's just out helping families get homes, working with realtors. And if I'm right, like, this is a realtor, this is one of your top realtors, and this is also a family all in one place, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a strategy session. That's Christian and Charlotte. They're real estate agent partners. That's me at the end of the table, and that's 2 first-time home buyers. And what I'm doing right there is, you can see I've got my email up. I've already produced the report. And so while they're talking real estate, the email's already being sent. So when I turn around my computer and we start talking about this, I say, listen, no need to take notes. Take a deep breath and just be present right here. And let's look at this report. It's already in your inbox. And so, yep, I'm sending it right there, and we're just getting ready to go over it.
And guys, I could just keep going with pictures of Dan, pulling out his mobile device, telling a story, telling a strategy, getting the consumer to download the app so that when the meeting's over, they're going to remember him. And now he can efficiently and effectively give them advice. So takeaway number 1, it's not about the tech. It's about the story and the strategy. It's about asking great questions, and then using Mortgage Coach to just connect better in the meeting and connect better after the meeting. So, okay, so we got that. Guys, if you have questions down below, let us know. If you are a realtor watching this and your loan officer is not using Mortgage Coach, find a loan officer that is, or make the loan officer that you're working with use Mortgage Coach. It's not that much. So it's only $120 a month. And if they work for a company that has an enterprise relationship, they get a big discount, or maybe their company even pays for it for them. So Dan, anything else on that before we kind of move on to some other realtor strategies?
Well, part of being great at building relationships are the questions that you ask and the genuine concern that you have for that client. And when the real estate agents are there with you and they're listening to you ask these questions, there are oftentimes sub questions. So I like to know, when I ask the rent, how much are you paying right now in rent question, this isn't one of my 4 staple questions, but I always say, so I'm curious, you're paying $2,100 a month in rent right now. At the end of every month, how much money is left over? And I ask that question because it gives me a good idea of whether or not I can go to another tool that I have in my tool belt, and that's teaching my 6 steps to financial freedom budgeting course. And so if they say, well, $400 or $500 or $2,000, or they don't know, I make a note of that. And then I come back to it at the very end and I send that video, and I'll show you that video today, but I give that to them as a result, or also in that email. So I'm trying to get to know how much they know, what they do know, what they don't know. With the real estate agents, like, that's weird. Why'd you ask that? Or they're curious as to the questions that I'm asking. So trying to gather information, but I'm also trying to build some rapport as well.
I love that. So before I go off of photos, I am showing you a picture of the Mortgage Coach Instagram page. It's actually from our website, but I just looked at it. I'm pretty sure this is a picture, Dan, of you meeting with a family in a coffee shop.
Yep.
But I don't know how many of these are Dan. A lot of them are, but here's one.
Back to back, right under that too. All of those families we've helped. Yeah. Yep.
And I build this as, how does Dan use Mortgage Coach with realtors, and how do you use it on social media? All these happened because he tagged me on Instagram. They were on stories, and he's just telling stories. Hey, meeting with another family, helping them, figure out their purchase options. And that's one of the ways he's using Mortgage Coach and social media, is he's just creating differentiation of value. And remember, it's not about the tech, it's about the story, and it's about the strategy. Anyways, keep it going, brother. So what else are you doing with agents?
Yeah, those pictures made me happy because they brought back memories. That's and it's fun. Those are the best meetings. The best mortgage planning meetings that I've had are when the real estate agent's there. I mean, we're all there. We're all having a glass of wine. The other one, we're in a coffee shop. The other one, we're downtown Seattle at Amazon, next to Amazon, having a beer. It just makes, I don't know. Maybe it's today's way of doing business, but I love it. So what was the next question? What did you ask?
Got it. So you're making sure your realtors get to experience the borrower presentation, and your borrower presentation includes Mortgage Coach. What are some other strategies that you're using to help use Mortgage Coach with agents?
Yeah. So it starts, if they cannot meet with a client up front with me, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to sneak it in to their inbox. And so a lot of the communications that I'll have with clients up front via email on establishing their budget, not necessarily their pre-approval, but establishing their budget, will be done via email. The other thing is when they're out looking at homes, or, hey, Dan, I saw this home online. Here's the link. Can you plug it into a TCA? When I respond back, if the agent's not on that, I'll loop them in. I'll CC them so they can see how I'm sending these emails to their clients and how professional they are. And I'll show you guys an example. And what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot or two and I'll put it in the comment section so you can see, and you can copy it if you'd like. But I always get incredible feedback from the real estate agents. They're like, wow, it's just so simple and so clean, crisp and clean. When they make offers on homes, when I send over a pre-approval letter, I want my clients knowing to the dollar what that monthly payment will be, what their down payment will be. So I always attach a little snippet of the TCA in the body of the email with the pre-approval letter attached, so they know. And oftentimes right now in Seattle, there's multiple offers, so they're escalating. So I'll go 585, 595, 605 and 615 or 610. So it's just super helpful. That's the other way that kind of I backdoor Mortgage Coach into my real estate agents' lives.
So let's get into that inbox strategy. I don't know if you could share your desktop. I do want to couple comments. Chad just said, "What's up, fellas? Dan Keller is a rock star." Yes, he is, Chad. Alan said, "Love this." Edwin said, "That was boss." So he probably dug the photos. And Alan Christian said, "Do you talk to all your clients?" If you don't mind answering Alan's client on that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I talk to every single one of my clients. I meet with every single one of my clients face to face. Obviously, right now with COVID, we're unable to do that. So they're getting a lot more of my attention and time up front, but absolutely. I think that's one of the things that I got away from as I tried to get bigger in 2015 and 16. We talked about that on the last call, Dave, where, I'm in a coaching company. I'm with the core, and they push you to do volume. They push you to close more loans every single month and grow. And, there was a time where it was like, you should only be spending 10, 15 minutes with the client. You should pop your head in and let your loan partners run the loan application meetings. And that's just not me. And I watched that model fizzle out, to be quite honest with you, as it got more and more competitive up here in the Seattle market. So nope, I sit down, I'll give my client 2 hours if they want. I mean, guys, I don't know what you're getting paid per loan, but my average commission is north of $4,000 a commission. If a client wants to spend a couple hours with me, they're going to get a couple hours with me if they need.
And how many families are you meeting with, and how many loans are you closing right now? Because I want people to, you're busy, you're doing some volume, but yet you're making time to do a TCA and meet, connect, and get goals. How many families are you working with?
Last month we helped 54. We closed May with 54 family, and we're in a refi boom right now, so it's a little bit north of where it normally is. This month we're going to help 67, 34 of which 33 are purchases. So even in a refi boom, purchases are my bread and butter. But on average, I'm 18 to 22 loans a month on average, I would say, without the refi boom.
So Dan, I want to have you share your screen in just a minute. Takeaway for everybody on this. I did an interview with Brian from Fulton Bank the other day, and he's a $100 million producer on the East Coast, killing it, getting ready to buy a house, and he shopped a bunch of lenders. So when he shopped those lenders, he said, not one of them asked me what my goals were, and they all gave me a fee worksheet. Guys, this is just hot off the street. You look at the date on that. June 8th, look at this. Every single one of them didn't ask him his goal, and they all gave him a transaction. And I guarantee you, none of those loan officers are doing $100 million a year. And obviously none of those loan officers are using Mortgage Coach. And so some of the most successful loan officers in America, they want to make a lot of money and they want to close a lot of loans, but they're most concerned about being valuable. Like, be a man or a woman of value. You create as much value, you're going to do a lot of business. So for anyone that is saying, I don't have enough time for Mortgage Coach, guys, you have enough time for Mortgage Coach. It's quick, it's easy. It actually makes your job faster, not slower. So let's talk about, let's get to your inbox. Show us an email and give us an example of what it looks like. And Brian Morley, sorry about that, dude. I was thinking about another Brian that I'm interviewing, but it was Brian Morley, top loan officer with Fulton Bank on the East Coast. I'm going to put the interview down below. It is a must-watch interview because it was right after he literally texted me on the weekend going, Dave, I just shopped 6 different lenders and my mind is blown at how transactional the conversations were and how, as a consumer, worthless and frustrating the fee worksheets were. And I interviewed him on that. So check it out down below. All right, what are we looking at here?
So this is just an email, and it's not an initial. This is not the initial. This is a client that I've done a mortgage planning meeting with. This is her 3rd or 4th home that she's written an offer on. So as you can see, there's just one option here. I always leave the rent column there, but there's just one option here, and it's got the address of the property and the purchase price. But here's how that email looks. I bullet point it. $385 purchase price, 3% down. Seller to pay $7,000 in closing costs. That I did verify the HOA dues is $16 a month. It's paid quarterly, so I did not include it in your payment. The total payment does include verified 2020 property taxes, because right now, if you're looking at Redfin, it's got 2019, and that's what a lot of people are looking at. So I'm giving her an accurate quote here. And here's my screenshot. So this is what I embed into the email. A little click here button, it drives more attention for them to click on this. And then when they click
So
on it,
talk about when they click on it, they go to a TCA.
absolutely. It takes them right to Mortgage Coach. So I clicked right on it. It takes them right to the actual
Boom.
presentation. Right there. Now I prefer, you showed me this a long time ago and I've never gone back. I like this view, but yeah, takes you right to it. All the numbers are there. The pre-approval letter was attached to that email. So that's, I do a little edits here. It takes me an extra 2 minutes to do this. I like it. It increases the professionalism in the email. And then the pre-approval letter is attached right there. Good luck on your offer.
Love it. Love it. So guys, and that's another thing. There's no right answer. You know, you look at Jeremy Forcier and how he integrates a TCA with a realtor. It's just a link. And usually he's got the family's name or the property name. But here's what I know when I interview the best of the best. They all integrate Mortgage Coach with their borrower conversation consistently. Their realtors know it. They've experienced it. For new agents, they've even done like mock. This is what the borrower experience is like. And this is how I create urgency and conversion. So they know it. They all do that. And they all integrate it into the inbox. You know, I like what Dan's doing, how highly visual it is, but I've seen just a link work well too. Let us know what you're doing. So those are two strategies. Anything else you're doing? You know, I know you do live events with agents, although probably right now they're Zoom events. But how else are you integrating Mortgage Coach into realtor conversations?
Yeah, and I'm gonna head over here real quick. If we can make a jump over to my YouTube channel, and I think this is, so I send a lot of videos out to my real estate agents, and so if you go head over to YouTube, you can just search my name, Dan Keller, or you can go up to the top. It's DK Financial 2008. That's when I started it. But here's my channel, and these are the videos that I do. You look at any one of these videos. The perfect refinance process, how to buy a home, how do I know if I should buy a home or rent? And these are all trainings. Basically, I've put them in a format where there's training around how, you know, whatever the topic is. How do I know if I should buy or not? But if you go right here, I integrate Mortgage Coach into everything, whether it's about refinancing or purchasing. And I send this out to real estate agents. And so real estate agents are seeing this, and then they're seeing how we present loan options. And then when we have a chance to work together, they're getting it again. And it's just a staple. It's a part of our business. And I told you this on the first call last week. I get goosebumps when real estate agents introduce me and they're like, yeah, and Dan's even going to put together this incredible report. Or I love how Dan presents loan options and interest rates and pre-approvals to you using this incredible software. And so oftentimes that's how they end up referring me, and they mention these types of reports or the software.
Love, love, love this, guys. So here's the deal. Social media is important. It's, you know, Facebook timeline is most people's news channel now. YouTube is how people learn anything and everything, especially the millennial population. I do believe every mortgage professional should have a YouTube channel, should be educating and teaching in the channels in an appropriate way. You know, make sure you're not always selling, do a loan with me, do a loan with me. But how is Mortgage Coach most effectively used in social media? As an educational prop. Think of us as when you're going to show numbers and you're going to explain a strategy, you use Mortgage Coach. I see Denise Donahue, another great mortgage coach to follow. Yeah. She'll sometimes, you know, be on her camera, and then she'll just put the camera on her desktop, super organic, super raw. Sometimes she'll take a screenshot and she'll put that in Facebook. And then most of the time I see pretty consistently, there's a link to the actual TCA in comments. So is that fair enough, Dan? Like sometimes I see you put the link in the actual post, but I also see you put the link in comments a lot. Any guidance on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's down in the comments, I think they can see it. And then I normally reference it like, hey, there's a link down in the comments. And I've read stuff about Facebook not liking links in your actual post, but down in the comments. So I tend to do that with my YouTube links, but Yeah, I think it's, as long as you draw attention to it and it's down there, people are going to click on it, and it's great. I don't know who sometimes, unless I send an email to someone, but whenever I make a Facebook post or an Instagram post and there's a link there, I get notified that people are clicking on the TCA report. And I love that.
Love it. So mortgage coach community, I'm going to show something on my screen right now, Dan. I would love your color to this. This is a slide that we've been working on for a while. We've been talking about for a long time, but we believe that every family, when they get into debt, whether it's a refi or a purchase, they should make a smart mortgage decision.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe they should work with a mortgage coach. But the reason they should do that is these are the three essentials to making a smart mortgage decision. And I don't care who you are not making the most informed decision possible if you don't have options.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to think and put yourself for a moment in the consumer's chair. If you were a family getting a mortgage, would you want options, or would you want one fee worksheet with a rate payment and a cash to close? You want options.
Mm-hmm.
And then from a loan officer's perspective, you want to give them options, because when they pick an option, they have ownership over it. They're vested. It's not like they're just doing what you told them to do. They're doing what they've decided to do. So they're more committed, and you get a better conversion. That's the science of selling. And then it's important that you go beyond the transaction. If you're just giving a transaction, rate, payment, and cash to close, you're a transactional loan officer. You are going to get shopped. And if it's close, if you're within an eighth or a quarter, you're not going to probably win. But if you show them the cost over time, and you're showing them kind of the life-changing value of the mortgage options, especially like with refis, you're saying, hey, look at your monthly savings. Let's look at that over 5 years. And then number three, what if you prepaid the mortgage? Look how much faster you could pay it off. So just every time a family gets into debt, these are the three essentials that they should consider.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would push everybody in the mortgage coach community, take a picture of this. It's in our Facebook group. You can actually copy it. You can use it. I don't care if you remove our logo from it. I don't care if you completely steal this and make it yours. But here's what I would push you guys to, and I'd love to hear your comments on it, Dan, is you need to educate on social media beyond the transaction. Like, you need to teach families that they need these three things. What are your thoughts, brother?
Well, I'll give you a real-time story, a real-time example. This happened last week. And I'll start by saying, if you're a loan officer right now and you're doing refinances and you're taking someone out of a 30-year fixed rate loan and you're resetting their loan to a new 30-year loan, I think you're doing a disservice if you don't share with them what a 25-year or a 20-year looks like. So someone's 3 or 4 years into their loan and you're going to reset it at 30 years. I mean, you're going to reset it at 30 years. Yeah, you're saving them money, but you're back to square one. And so what I love about Mortgage Coach, and this helped me win a transaction from a bank, a local bank and credit union, was they said, they sent me over a loan worksheet, a loan estimate. And I said, so it looks like the lender, the mortgage professional that you sat down and you talked with, so I hinted that you sat down and you talked with, is resetting your amortization at 30 years and you're almost 4 years into this loan. Is that correct? And she said, yes. And I said, well, did they give you options to pick up where you're leaving off right now, maybe a 25-year or a 20, because it wouldn't make sense to me to put you back and start from square one in a 30. I said, do you agree with me? She was like, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, I'd be starting over from scratch. And I said, yeah, you would. And she was like, well, I didn't know that you could do a 25. And I said, I could do a 26-year loan if I wanted to. So our TCA was a 30, a 25, a 20, and a 15. And I've earned their business because I gave them exactly what you were just talking about in your essentials, is I showed them the total cost over time, but I also educated them. I used the software to educate them and get them to think about something that they hadn't thought of before. And then some people are thinking about that, but they hadn't. And man, it struck a nerve and it was just perfect. From there on forward, they had my trust and they're like, well, what do we need to do next?
I love it. So I'm going to share another strategy similar to that. Before I do it, I just remembered that if you go to our Facebook group and you type in real world, there's a bunch of examples of top mortgage coach professionals. I love what Gene Augustin does, where they have done social media and they've used Mortgage Coach, and then I have shared that back into the group. And you can just see how top Mortgage Coach loan officers are story selling using Mortgage Coach as the prop. So go to our YouTube channel, type in Real World. I think we have a tag on that. I just want to make sure everybody connects the dot on what Dan just said. This is an actual refi TCA that Jeremy Forcier did, a good friend, mutual friend of both Dan and I's. And you notice he's going beyond the transaction. We call this the transactional triangle. Every time you do a refi, show the cost over different periods of time. Now Dan's saying, let's give them like a 25-year option. And maybe you do that, maybe you don't. Maybe you just say, hey, what if you took that $265 you're saving and you prepaid your mortgage, and look how much faster you'd pay it off.
Yep.
I do think that is the responsibility. If you're going to get someone to refinance their debt, make sure they're educated around different strategies to pay off their debt faster. That may be putting a 20-year loan, a 15-year loan, a 25, and a pick your payoff date. You know, how much do you want to pay every month? And Mortgage Coach will help you do it. And guys, the important part of that is when you do that, you create a star moment, something they will always remember. Most loan officers are never going to do that, and it's going to be a forgettable mortgage experience. So anyways, it sounds like that's what you're doing, bro. Just kind of summing it all up. You're making sure that realtors are in the know on this. They're in the loop. They're getting experience. It's in their inbox. You're doing events with them. We're using Mortgage Coach. And then social media is simple as taking pictures of experiences, YouTube videos where Mortgage Coach is an educational prop, and you're just promoting that all over the place. Is that pretty much netting it out?
Yeah. One last thing. If you want to separate yourself with real estate agents, ask them this. Once they've seen your software, ask them that when they do their annual real estate review with their clients, to let you know, and you'll update their TCA. You'll update their mortgage planning report. And a lot of the times they'll say, oh, okay. And I'll say, by the way, do you do annual reviews with your annual real estate reviews, investment reviews? And most of them will say no. So then you can now have a conversation around the importance of, if you're truly their realtor for life, you should be doing annual reviews. And here's how you do it. And then I send them my annual review form, and it's just it's an extension. It's a conversation extender, but more so, if you have a lender, if you're a real estate agent, and you have a lender teaching you how to do annual reviews with your clients that lead to more referrals, it's huge. It's another way where you can partner with them versus just being a lender.
I love that. And we recently rolled out an integration with HomeBot. We're big fans of HomeBot. We think it's another platform. I mean, I think, my closing, guidance to you guys, if you want to be a loan officer that consistently closes over 100 loans a year, and if you want to be a loan officer like Dan, who's already closing hundreds of loans a year, but you want to just have this incremental extra 100, it's really simple, guys. 1,000 mortgages under management is 100 loans a year. And you want to have a mortgage under management, here's the definition of it. One, you're giving them a total cost analysis at the point of sale, and you're doing an annual review. You do not have mortgages under management if you're not doing that. You may have past clients, you don't have mortgage under management. Get them into HomeBot. Get them into HomeBot early so that you're helping them track their real estate and their wealth over time. Make sure that you're asking for a referral while they're in process. Like, closing a loan is a past client. Closing a loan with someone who gave you a referral, that's a client for life. That's the beginning. Until they've given you a referral, they're just someone who did business with you. Once they've given you a referral, they're invested. And guys, get an online review. Like, if you could do those four things, get a referral, give them a TCA, you are going to have a snowball mortgage practice. And the headlines about Quick and going public, who cares? The concern that Amazon is going to get in the mortgage business, who cares? The concern that big banks are going to have Rocket Mortgage and everybody's app, who cares? If you've got thousands of people that are getting these client for life experiences for you, you're good to go. You're going to have a very successful career. Any closing thoughts from you, brother?
Yeah, I want to end with a story. And it just is right in line with exactly what you just said. So Last year I had an opportunity to be coached by Rick Ruby. I'm in the core, and Rick, if you know Rick, he runs the core, and he's just he's a brilliant mind in the mortgage industry. And he coached me. And about halfway through the semester, he says, Dan, I had no idea you were such a crappy loan officer. You're really crappy. And he goes, more so, you run a terrible business. And I said, he goes, why are you so bad? And he was serious. And I had a hard time on the call, like keeping a straight face. And I said, well, I don't know, Rick, I don't close 400 loans a year, 300, I don't know. And he was like, I'm sitting here looking at your current client referrals. And current client referrals are when your current clients refer you, and your past client referrals. And he was like, it's like you have a crappy restaurant. Nobody's talking about your restaurant. And a light bulb went off in my head that my experience is incredible. I spent a ton of time with my clients, but I just wasn't asking for the referrals. When they said, Dan, thank you so much for taking great care of me. Man, your team is amazing. I was like, thank you. That means a lot to me. But I wasn't taking that next step. I wasn't doing a great job with annual reviews. And so it was something that woke me up. But it's so true. It is the definition. It's a sign of a great business when people are referring you and you're seeing and tracking those referrals. And at the time, I just wasn't getting them. And now a lot has changed, and I'm closing the volume that I'm closing now because I'm getting referred more.
Love that. So I'm going to just add on to that. And you've heard this before, Dan, so you know this story.
Yep.
But this is a 1 minute and 52-second video from a site visit that I hosted earlier this year with Jeremy Forcier and a couple of elite mortgage professionals. And I think Jeremy cracked the code. Again, he's a core coach. He's been in the core, but he cracked the code on how to ask for a referral in process, when to ask a referral in the process. And for those of you that, tune into our channel, I've been talking about this a lot, but here's what I ask you. Are you doing it? Are you waiting until a client says thank you? So the client says thank you, they're in process.
Yep.
And then you send an email, we love helping you. Can you help me with something? My goal this year is to work with more people I like. Can you introduce me to more people you think I should know and I can help? And here's the deal, guys. Jeremy has been doing this now for months. How many loans did he close last month? Some extraordinary number.
He pushed 70 and he just crushes it.
And he would tell you that this is his number one conversion source.
Yep.
So he's getting a lot of these referrals. He's converting over 70% of them. Now it's a refi market. Yep. Rates are hot. But guys, if you are not asking for referrals the way we just showed you, again, don't tell me, oh, I'm doing that. When they come to me and I take the app, I ask them, guys, even Jeremy doesn't get a lot of leads when he takes the app and he asks for a referral. Like, it's a good way to start training the client. Yeah. But the magic where you get the most referrals is asking when they say thank you. So dude, that was a great close to today's call. Yeah. If you're watching this and you are not on the Mortgage Coach team yet, you're paying for Mortgage Coach. It's costing you at least one loan a month. Yep. So do the math. What is that? If you want to get on the Mortgage Coach team, all you got to do is sign up. No commitment, no setup fee. It's $120 a month. If you work for a company that has us as part of their platform, maybe they're paying for it. I'm sure there's a lower cost, but for all you individual loan officers, $120 a month, there'll be a link down below to sign up. And Dan, do you feel like I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach when I say that it would cost you at least a loan a month? Do you feel that that's a credible, minimal expense to not using Mortgage Coach?
Easily. Easily. I told the listeners on the last call, it's the most value that Mortgage Coach has brought to me is it's increased my conversions, and you can convert more loans. If you're generating 50 leads a month and you can convert 10%, 20% more loans, it makes a big difference. So absolutely.
Right on, man. Well, hey guys, I hope you got a lot of value. Dan, two days in back-to-back weeks, bro. I won't ask you to interview for at least a month because you've given a lot of value, bro. I appreciate you, man.
It's my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Take care, brother.
Buddy. Yep.
All right, guys. Give us a like down below if you got value. Share this with your team. Let us know what you're doing and how you're using Mortgage Coach with Realtors and how you're using it on social media. Take care, everybody.